diamond oil tanker tugged towards deeper seas. Efforts to douse the fire continue. President commends those who supported in controlling the fire. President says an important lesson emerged from the COVID-19 is the importance of maintaining a centralized healthcare system. CCD constable wanted by police over the discovery of 23 kilograms of heroin arrested in South India. 4 inmates escape from the Kuliapitiya prison. Another destruction of mangroves in Putlam.
Good evening. What you just witnessed were the measures taken by the Sri Lanka Navy, Air Force and other entities involved in the operation to protect the new diamond oil tanker that caught fire in Sri Lankan waters. We wish to salute the political authorities and the individuals who laid their lives at risk to prevent what would have been a massive catastrophe. Now, the Sri Lanka Navy has said that the oil tanker has been tugged towards deeper seas. The Newsfirst team visited the Navy headquarters to obtain more information regarding the incident.
Captain De Silva, we heard that the ship or the super tanker, when it came in distress or when this issue arose, it was 38 nautical miles off the Sangamankanda point, and then we found out that it had drifted towards Sri Lanka to approximately 22 nautical miles. What measures have been taken to take back the ship so that the coasts of Sri Lanka is protected?
Yeah, when the ship was caught up with this fire, it was like 38 nautical miles from the closest land. So it was drifting with the current. Current in this area very special in these days, and it goes southwesterly, and that means it's drifting towards the Sri Lankan southeastern coast of Sri Lanka. When it came close to 20 nautical miles barrier, which we had earlier predetermined barrier, and we took action to tow it back to the safe distance from the land. The way it was drifting posed a threat to the Little Basses reef, and which was like 30-40 miles away from the distress vessel, and now it lies around 40 nautical miles from the closest land, which is Sangamankanda point.
So, Captain, what about the crew of the ship? We understood that the captain and another crew member of the vessel were with Indian authorities, and several other crew members were admitted to hospital in Sri Lanka. What is the current situation of the crew members of the vessel?
The critically injured person, that was the third engineer of the ship, and he was transferred ashore and is now undergoing treatments at Kalmune Hospital.
A crew member of the new diamond oil tanker who was receiving treatment at the Kalmune Base Hospital was subjected to a PCR test yesterday. Health authorities confirmed that the crew member had not tested positive for the virus. The crew member, who is currently receiving treatment, has been identified as a Philippine national.
So, Captain, when the vessel was in a powerless state, we know that it drifted towards the coast of Sri Lanka. If you may apprise of how the vessel drifted towards Sri Lanka and how it was tugged back into deeper seas.
This map shows the story, and this is where the incident occurred, and it's like 38 nautical miles from the closest land, that is Sangamankanda point, and without the power, ship was all drifting till last evening. You see the change of direction maybe in every 12 hours or so.
How often was this updated, Captain?
This was updated. Initially it was 15 minutes. Later on it's like every hour.
How far off is the vessel now?
Now you see the vessel drifted up to this point.
Yes.
That was 20 nautical miles from the close by land. That is Pothuil. And this was the path it took. And we used one of the tugs which was capable of pulling this type of
Super tanker.
That was tug winglet. Now the ship lies 40 nautical miles away from the east of Sangaman.
නාවික හමුදාවෙන් විශේෂ කාර්යභාරයක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා අපි ඔබ දුටුවා ඒ වගේම තමයි ගුවන් හමුදාවෙන් සිද්ධ වෙන කාර්යභාරයත් මේ වෙලාවේ අපිට අමතක කරන්න බෑ
ගුවන් හමුදාවට අයත් MI-17
An MY-17 helicopter of the Air Force has been dispatched to assist the procedure of dousing the fire on the oil tanker. A Bambi bucket can carry 2,500 litres of water at a time. Since the fire erupted, the Air Force has poured 340,000 litres of water in its operations to control the fire. The aircraft would reach the land for refueling purposes. That would be the only instance in which it would reach the land during the operations. Once it is dispatched at 5:45 a.m., it stays there throughout the day.
දිගටම මේ ගිනි නිවීමේ රාජකාරිවල නිරත වී සිටිනවා.
හෙට දිනේ මේ සඳහා ඔබතුමාලා තබන අලුත්ම පියවර මොකක්ද?
මේ අවස්ථාවන විටත්
We have deployed aircrafts to monitor the part of the vessel in which the fire had erupted. As per the advice of the Air Force commander, the Air Force headquarters is taking steps to dispatch an MY-17 aircraft tomorrow morning to assist in the firefighting efforts.
කටයුතු
Meanwhile, the Marine Environment Protection Authority explained the steps that would be taken with regard to the oil tanker that caught fire recently.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වෙළඳ
The Director General of the Merchant Shipping Secretariat hopes to implement the future course of action together with the owners of the vessel and its insurance agencies. The Marine Environment Protection Authority has remained firm on its stance that this vessel didn't have a need to enter our waters and that if it was to transfer fuel to another vessel, it should have been done out of our waters. We have conveyed our stance to the relevant entities. In the event of an oil spill, we are acting cautiously to determine the future course of action that needs to be taken in that regard.
බොහොම අවධානයෙන් විමසිලිමත්ව බලාගෙන සිටිනවා.
Meanwhile, the fishermen in the Ampara district claim they have observed a greasy texture in the water in the seas of Pandirippu and Kalmune. During a media briefing today, views were expressed on the environmental impact caused due to the fire on the oil tanker.
අපිට මේ වෙද්දී ඉතා වැඩි තෙල් ප්‍රමාණයක් ලැබුණ මුහුදට ගියා කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නැහැ.
We do not believe that a large amount of fuel had spilled into the waters. However, there is a possibility that the chemicals, ashes and burnt oil that were released due to the fire may have entered the water. That is not similar to a large oil spill. However, we assume that there might have been some issue there. An international company has provided insurance to the vessel and the cargo of fuel on it. The cost that we had to incur can be recovered from the insurance company. The Marine Environment Protection Authority and the relevant stakeholders are currently holding discussions on recovering the cost that we had to incur for this operation. Our primary focus was to save the lives of the people and to douse the fire. Secondly, we will be looking into whether this incident has caused any damages. If we receive any information from them, we hope to use that in taking legal action.
ඒ තොරතුරුත් අපි මේ නඩුකට
Meanwhile, at the intervention of the owner of the ship, 10 British and Netherlands experts, including rescue operations specialists, disaster evaluators and legal consultants, will be arriving at the Matane International Airport tomorrow morning. In a statement, the Sri Lanka Navy said this team of experts is scheduled to be transferred by their fast attack craft from Kalmune to the sea area where the distressed vessel is currently at.
Minister of Environment Mahinda Amaraveera said a committee headed by an additional secretary to the ministry has been appointed to look into the present condition of the empty New Diamond oil tanker.
නෑ අපි අමාත්‍යාංශයේ විදියට මේ
The Environment Ministry is closely observing the matter. We have appointed a committee. A discussion was held as well. We are aware that if an oil spill occurs, there will be massive damage caused to the environment. In order to face this situation, we had held discussions on an international platform as well. Fortunately, there is no such risk now, and such a situation will not occur. If it did, Sri Lanka's marine environment would have been drastically affected.
පරිසරයේ සම්පූර්ණ මේ තත්ත්වයෙන් වෙනස් වෙන්න ඉඩ තිබුණා.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in a tweet today thanked the Sri Lanka Navy, Sri Lanka Air Force, Sri Lanka Ports Authority and the Indian Defence Forces for their efforts in controlling the fire in the empty New Diamond oil tanker. The President greatly appreciated their contribution in conserving marine biodiversity by preventing a disastrous situation out in the ocean. On to some more local news. Let's take a look at some of the views expressed in the political arena regarding the 20th Amendment to the Constitution.
We sought a two-thirds majority pledging to abolish the 19th Amendment soon after coming into power. We have received the mandate for that. If there are any shortcomings in the draft amendment, we will discuss that. The 19th Amendment was brought forward targeting a particular family. They raised the minimum age limit for a president from 30 to 35. They feared that the younger one would come into power. They inserted provisions relating to dual citizenship with a target. These were provisions that targeted a family. We have a problem whether everyone in the government is in favor of the new amendment. There is a suspicion whether they have hoodwinked Mahinda Rajapaksa and made him to act as a puppet. This is an absurd constitution. There is no point of introducing short-term remedies to it. I wish to ask Mahinda Rajapaksa whether he is happy that the powers of the Prime Minister have been slashed by the President. Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa, before entering Parliament, must renounce his US citizenship and provide a written undertaking that he would not flee the country at any point. We were unable to take legal action against the bond scam suspects due to their dual citizenship. Basil Rajapaksa is a grateful politician. Therefore, we would be happy if he enters Parliament. However, he hasn't declared his intention of entering Parliament. Accordingly, it is wrong to claim that the 20th Amendment has been brought forward with the intention of supporting him. Provisions that will allow dual citizens to contest the election have been inserted. We have a suspicion whether they are changing the laws for the sake of a single person. Regardless of what law we do not oppose, we must object against the 20th Amendment. It was the current government that raised their voices, stating that a scam had taken place at the central bank. Arjuna Mahendran, who is accused of the bond scam, is a dual citizen of Singapore and Sri Lanka. Therefore, we have been unable to bring him back and question him. In future, if a parliamentarian with a dual citizenship is offered a high-ranking position, an investigation cannot be carried out into his actions. This is democratic. The freedom to go to court and to propose amendments in Parliament has been maintained. The public too can express their opinions. This is something that has been done for the short term. Therefore, a new constitution would be drafted in the future. A special committee has been appointed for that as well. It is the 18th Amendment that led the country into a dictatorship that has been brought again as the 20th Amendment. This is a drawback to democracy. We brought forward several commissions through the 19th Amendment. Through the 20th Amendment, the independent nature of these commissions would be lost. The 20th Amendment has clearly been drafted to protect their family and to allow them to carry out their activities. The commissions did not bring about any benefits to the country. It was the henchmen of the good governance government who were appointed to them. The people granted a two-thirds majority to stop that and to prevent the damage that is being caused to the country. We will be able to protect the country from any future negative effects only through these changes.
The 18th, 19th and 20th Amendments to the Constitution has been the talk of the town in the recent weeks. The 19th Amendment was brought in citing the many drawbacks of the 18th Amendment, and now a 20th Amendment has come into the picture, replacing both the 18th and 19th Amendments. Certain public representatives of former parliaments voted in favor of both the 18th and 19th Amendments, and the following is a report of them. But the question is, what will their response be to the 20th Amendment to the Constitution?
Among the public representatives who voted in favour of both constitutional amendments are Rohitha Abegunawardena, Mahinda Yapa Abewardena, Mahinda Amaraveera, Dilum Amunugama, Lasantha Alagiyawanna, Dallas Alahaperuma, Mahindananda Alutgamage, Indika Anuruddha, Dinesh Gunawardena, Bandula Gunawardena, Siripala Gamlat, Uday Gammanpila, S.M. Chandrasena, Sisira Jayakodi, Priyankara Jayaratna and Janaka Bandara Tennakon. Mohan De Silva, Nimal Siripala De Silva, P.L. Nishanta, S.V. Disanayaka, Vimalavira Disanayaka, Duminda Disanayaka, Douglas Devananda, Vasudeva Nanayakara, Sanat Nishanta, Ramesh Patirana, Jagat Pushpakumara, Jayanta Katagoda, Dylan Pereira, Arundika Fernando and Johnston Fernando are also among those who voted in favour of both constitutional amendments. Sudarshani Fernando Pole, Susil Prema Jayanta, Shanta Bandara, Vijita Berugoda, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, C.B. Ratnayaka, Roshan Ranasinghe, Kehelia Rambukwella, Namal Rajapaksa, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Nimal Lansa, Janakava Kumbara, Pavitra Vanyarachi, Vidura Vikramanayaka, Kanchana Vijayasekara, Professor Tissa Vitharana, Tenuka Vidana Gamage, Chandima Veerakodi, Vimal Veeravansa, Mahinda Samarasinghe, Ranjit Sembalapitiya, John Seniviratna, Shehan Semasinghe and Kanaka Herath are also part of this list. During this period in which the 18th and 19th amendments to the Constitution were put forward, there were two public representatives who stood out from the crowd. One was Chamal Rajapaksa, who was the then Speaker of Parliament, and Sarath Veerasekara, who opposed the 19th Amendment. During the period in which the 18th Amendment was presented, current Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa served as the President of Sri Lanka, and during the period in which the 19th Amendment was presented, Prime Minister Rajapaksa was not a member of Parliament.
Locals in Kalpitiya claim that the mangroves around the Kalpitiya lagoon are being destroyed, causing severe damage to the surrounding environment. Newsfirst looked into this matter. This is the Kalpitiya lagoon in the Puttalam district. Area residents whose main livelihood revolves around the fisheries sector claims that mangroves surrounding the lagoon are being destroyed. Religious leaders and representatives of environment and fisheries organizations visited the site today to further inquire about this matter.
ඔක්කොම කඩලාන කෙලේ තිබුණේ. ඒකට මේ ඔක්කොම සුද්ධ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඊට කලින් මෙහෙම වගේ කානුව තිබුණේ නැහැ. නිකන් ඉඩම වගේ තමයි තිබුණේ නේ. දැන් මේ ඉඩම කාටද අයිති? මේක රජයට.
මේ පරිසර පද්ධතියට හානි කරන නීති විරෝධී ඇලමාර්ගයක් කපලා තිබෙනවා.
Certain factions have created a path not for the water to pass, but to bring in a boat to this area. There is a high possibility that they might use this as a route to transport narcotic substances or any other harmful material. The area with mangroves has been filled with sand. It is questionable as to whether the law is enforced on everyone equally. If the law is enforced on an ordinary citizen who simply cuts a branch of a tree, what about the chairman of the urban council? Will the law not be enforced on him? The chairman of the Pradesh Sabha visited this place in a vehicle that belongs to the council. He had also used the bowser and lorry belonging to the council to transport the equipment that was used to clear the mangroves.
ලොරි රථය මෙයාගේ බඩු ප්‍රාහිරාදී ප්‍රවාහනය කරන්න අරන් තියෙනවා.
Following an inquiry from Newsfirst, this was the response from the chairman of the Kalpitiya Pradesh Sabha regarding such allegations.
Udaya Kumara and I, with the approval from the Attorney General, had taken this land on lease. It's been 3 months since then. We received a call from the police. When we visited the area, we witnessed that not a single mangrove plant had been destroyed.
The Gammadda teams toured the Ratnapura, Mullaitivu and Polonnaru districts to listen to the problems of the people today as well.
The people of the Adirianvala village in Kuruvita encounter situations of life and death as they cross the bridge in the area. This bridge that has been made out of vines is known as the Bridge of Death among villagers. This is due to the threat that it poses to the lives of the people. Children who cross this bridge fear that they would fall into the Kuruganga that runs beneath it. The village of Kuruvita is popular for its gems. However, the desperate people in the area poured out their countless woes to the Gammadda team during its door-to-door campaign today. Around 400 families in the Ututupulam village are yet to consume a single drop of clean drinking water. These villagers narrated their plight to the Gammadda team in the district, hoping to find a solution to this issue. Some families who can afford it obtain water after constructing a tube well. The others obtain water from any other source that is available. For those who are unable to fetch water through either of these means, all that is left is sweat and tears. This village has a river from which 400 families can fulfill their requirements. Despite expressing their sorrows due to the faith on Gammadda, the villagers of the Karapola village in Polonnaruwa district have not been discouraged by their problems. Desperate to find a solution to the problems posed by wild elephants, these villagers have joined hands to construct an elephant fence. Wild elephants had claimed the lives of 3 people recently. More than 1,600 families in the area earn a living by farming. However, their crops have been destroyed by wild elephants that encroach the village. Apart from the problems posed by wild elephants, the people have also been battered by a shortage of water. Public health inspectors have advised the villagers to avoid consuming water from wells due to its adverse effects. This has left the people wondering as to how many days they can survive with thirst. As a last resort, desperate villagers who consume water that is unfit for consumption are left battling with kidney-related ailments. The people of Sevanapitia do not require projects worth millions. All they need is clean drinking water.
It's now time for our special segment, The Green Minute.
$3.9 billion humans, or 54% of the global population, live in urban areas. Analysts predict that this figure will increase to 66% by the year 2050. The increase in the number of vehicles, particularly in the Asian region, and the resulting traffic congestion has increased carbon emissions and global warming. According to the World Health Organization, air pollution kills an estimated 7 million people worldwide every year, with 9 out of 10 people breathe in air containing high levels of pollutants. According to environmentalists, approximately 60% of air pollution in Colombo is due to carbon emission from vehicles. The Paris Agreement of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which includes 195 signatories at present, states that there is great potential in the transportation sector to mitigate climate change. At present, a restructuring in the transport sector within a sustainable framework is the need of the hour in our country, which will undoubtedly be a significant milestone in the journey towards creating a greener world.
The Good Intern Program 2020 was attended by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today.
The event was organized by the Society of Health Research and Innovation in collaboration with the Government Medical Officers Association and the Ministry of Health.
I take this opportunity to commend to all healthcare professionals and others who contributed to Sri Lanka's response to COVID-19. The outstanding success Sri Lanka achieved in this endeavor came at a time when even some of the most developed countries in the world were unable to respond adequately to the pandemic. Another important lesson emerging from the COVID-19 pandemic has been the importance of maintaining a centralized healthcare system. Although the administration of most of Sri Lanka's state-run hospitals are vested with the provincial councils, fortunately there were enough hospitals nationwide under the management of the health ministry. Had we been in a situation where healthcare was a subject completely devolved to the provincial councils, the efficacy of Sri Lanka's response to the pandemic may have been quite different. Our recent experience reinforces the importance of maintaining responsibility for certain functions with the central government. As you know, education is another vital area. One of the core pillars of development is the maintenance of a healthy population. Achieving certain public health goals remains a core responsibility of the government.
4 inmates of the Kuliapitia prison had escaped today. The Department of Prisons said one of the 4 inmates had subsequently surrendered to the Variapola prison.
The inmates had escaped the Kuliapitiya prison after opening up a small section of the prison roof. Commissioner of the Department of Prisons, Chandaneka Naika, said the group of inmates were addicted to drugs. The Kuliapitiya prison lockup, which falls under the purview of the Variapola prison, is currently being used as a quarantine centre for prison inmates. Our correspondent said the office of the Superintendent of Police is located approximately 100 metres from the prison cell, while the Kuliapitiya police station is located 500 metres from the prison cell. The Department of Prisons said all police stations have been informed of the matter.
A police constable attached to the Colombo Crimes Division, who was wanted over the discovery of 23 kilograms of heroin in the Heyantudu area in Sapugaskanda, has been arrested in the South Indian town of Dhanushkodi.
Indian media reported that the suspect, who had been arrested by the Tamil Nadu Coast Guard, has been identified as Praveen Kumar Bandara. Reports said that Indian security agencies and intelligence units in Tamil Nadu have launched investigations into the relationships he had maintained with underworld groups. The Meghalaya police had recovered a stash of heroin that had been hidden in the carpentry sheet in the Samagimawatha area in Sapugaskanda on the 2nd of this month. One suspect, identified as the elder brother of the police constable, had been arrested in connection to the narcotic haul. He had admitted that the police constable had handed over the narcotics to him. Accordingly, the police had launched a widespread operation to arrest the constable, who was attached to the Colombo Crimes Division. Police said they had received information that the suspect had fled to India by sea from the Pesale area in Mana. The police constable will be brought back to the country and subjected to quarantine before being placed under police custody.
Women make 52% of the Sri Lanka population. Today, Newsfirst undertook an initiative to establish a platform for women to showcase their talents, and that is through the Sri Lanka Vanitha Abhimana 2020 program.
Sri Lanka Vanitha Abhimana 2020 has been organized to recognize women entrepreneurs in the country. A competition took place at the Central Province today with the participation of a large audience. The winners of 8 categories in the Central Province were recognized during the program that is supported by the National Development Bank. These categories included leadership, environmental management, social services, sports, education, micro-scale entrepreneurship, small-scale entrepreneurship and upcoming entrepreneurship. The 8 winners of the Sri Lanka Vanitha Abhimana program in the Central Province will qualify for the national event. Meanwhile, several events were held at the Kandy City Centre today in line with this program. The events were centered around the fields of cosmetology, media leadership, self-employment and legal counseling. A trade show was held at the premises as well.
We are happy to see that women of Sri Lanka are being taken to the global level. I can say that the people in the Kandy district are extremely fortunate. We are extremely thankful for the service that is being provided here. All the activities here have been centered around females. I feel this mark of respect to the women in the Kandy district.
කාන්තාවන්ට කරන ලද ගෞරවයක් විදියට තමයි මම දකින්නේ.
In alignment with the internationalization on strategy of the University of Moratua's Staff Mobility Project, it's been hosted by the Department of Textile and Clothing Technology together with the UK Birmingham City University.
The University of Moratuwa will be benefited by the social, cultural and fashion consumer exposure through retail and market visits that is essential in fashion design teaching in the business design program that mainly focuses on profiling graduates for Sri Lankan export apparel industry.
Our expectation is send staff members from the Bachelor of Design degree program at the Department of Textile and Clothing Technology, University of Moratuwa, to stay there maximum about 3 weeks per one staff member, and shadowing staff members at BCU and working collaboratively with them, as well as doing some lectures for students there, so that our staff members are able to collaboratively work with the academics.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News. Thank you for watching News First. Good night.